Hello everyone, welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobby and I will be your guide for today. Today I'm going to do some channel messages. So we're going to discuss about those that feel that they're evolving at the moment, going through some major shifts and stuff like that. Before we start, I have a school called AMAKEL. If you want to go join that, the link is down below. It's on Patreon, cost a few dollars a month, and it has over 100 telepathic games and lessons there, so they're really fun to play, and it'll just get you in that zone of learning telepathy and so forth. Also, I have another channel called Codes to a New Reality, and there's a lot of hidden codes in that if you want to go join in on that. The link is down below. Plus, I'm an intuitive counselor, so and psychic reader. If you want to have a reading with me, I can help you clear your thoughts, your mind, get you in line with your soul, understand a little bit more about yourself, and that sort of thing. It's just things that my team have told me throughout the years. I've got a lot of techniques and value to offer. So if you want to have a one-on-one reading with me, the link is down below. That is via Zoom. Hi, Jeannie. Hey, Wade. Good to see you, Diana, in the chat bar, my beautiful supporters over there. Okay, I want to get into this. So there's a lot happening at the moment within ourselves. We have, yeah, do you like my new Christmas nails? Anyway, within ourselves. So we have a lot of solar flares hitting. We actually got another one, a really powerful one at the moment. Again, like they just keep on firing up. And that's what my team told me just before they started. They said, watch out, we're going through the fires. And if you want to go back on my channel messages, you'll see I actually predicted that just before it all happened. So yeah, these fires are meant to happen to be able to like shed anything that's not in alignment with love and the energy that's coming from the sun, which is just purity, source energy. It's like firing more of what we perceive God as outside of ourselves, but it's actually who we are in a frequency that we have been denying because we've only been focusing on our logical programmed thoughts that are creating this reality, which is a sort of an illusion, but isn't, because it's part of the creation that we are as a soul. So our outside physical world is a program that we wanted to pull our soul into to be able to experience a birth to death situation, and in a physical way, in a separated way. And we couldn't do that unless we had that program in place, which is a natural program that source energy conjured up through the imagination and created, just like everything else is. In any case, what's happening at the moment is we're purging a lot of this imbalance within us. If there's an imbalance within us, we're going to need to be able to see that imbalance. So it's showing up either outside of us or even within our thoughts during these like flush outs of light and love really firing at earth at the moment. And so you could just be sitting there and all of a sudden your mind goes and has a little spaz attack and starts to realize it's been focusing in on something, maybe an outside program that's pulled over you when you were a kid and you thought that was just it, like you have to deal with that, instead of I'm going to deprogram that. It doesn't have to be part of my life anymore. And so it will show up in your reality, the way that you're thinking, the way that you're acting, and even physical ailments and that sort of thing can come from this. So just be aware of that as you it's not something that you're doing wrong. It's a real purging of oneself before we step into these real higher frequencies, which are in alignment with not that program anymore, not the old program anymore. We're in line with it's an alignment with benevolence that's already held that frequency of unity within ourselves. So, for instance, benevolent beings that have been holding that in a place or higher. There's even humans that are in that frequency, holding that. And it's a different storyline. So it's literally like we're jumping off a chessboard into a completely different game. We're not doing the polarity game anymore. We see through the polarity game. We see through the disillusionment of that's better than me, or I need to beat that, or I need to compete with that, or and that's where the warring reality comes from. That falls away, and it's more of an alignment with I'm the creator. What do I want to create? What adventures do I want to have? How do I want to experience my reality? I'm in charge of my own will, that sort of thing coming up for us instead. So if you are feeling like there's disharmony in your reality, and then clarity, and then disharmony, and then clarity, you're actually on the right path. You're doing okay. It's not meant to be until you're really in that higher frequency where you'll just feel this understanding of whenever something comes at you that seems to be competing against you or resisting you, then you have already done the work within yourself and shed that program, so you see beyond it. You don't get attached to it in an emotional way anymore. Also, those that have done a lot of work might still be tuning into the collective, the humanities collective, and feeling with them a little bit as well. So that can be bringing in a bit of disharmony and realizing that one of maybe your jobs, because you are in tune with the collective, is to become a leader of that. And so you need to be able to tune into it to be able to access your part of yourself that needs clearing so that you can become a guide in the future. So that is another thing that's happening, they're telling me is happening at the moment for those that are learning to evolve into this other frequency beyond what others might pull you through down, back into the program instead. Because that's another thing as well that they're bringing up. If you are going to be more of a guide or something for others, you're going to have that old program trying to drown you, bring up things in your reality so that you can really stand in your power, know thy will. You can know thy will in that moment of time. How are you processing what they're saying about you, or how are you processing navigating through a storyline that you're not happy with? How are you processing things? And if it's not working and you notice that it's a pattern that you've been, or a way of processing things that you've been doing in the past over and over and over, then that needs to be readjusted and re-looked at from a higher perspective so that you can deprogram the program and choose to move on from it. So yeah, it's really interesting what they're channeling through at the moment. It's like they're really bringing me to a fine-tunement of oneself, a whole self, coming into alignment of knowing thyself. Wade, one tuning fork makes the other tuning fork active. Yes, it's true. And that's the power of when we actually do resonate at a certain frequency, and it's a different frequency than what the collective is used to. It will only seek those that have also found that frequency, help align with them. So you become the grid. So they're showing me that is the grid. The frequency alignment becomes the grid. If you want to look outside yourself and draw a pretty picture of the earth and all of humanity on earth, and then one enlightens themselves and then another does and another. It's like when you're that close to that frequency, it's like a help to bring you or resonate you up into that frequency, and then a grid is created. And that grid, becomes a new resonance over humanity's consciousness, and a new storyline can be developed from that point. But those that are not at that point could see that as a fear, a problem or something, and that's why they do the attack, go into the attack mode, if they're not looking at themselves especially. So we've got it's one of those things where if we all came up together, if humanity's consciousness all went up together in one big boom, then a lot of us, they're telling me a lot of us would have died, would have passed over. And so to do it this way is like having a certain amount of people resonating at a certain frequency and bringing in a new story, and then offering it to others. We never control others. We only offer what we have, and then in that offer, they either accept it or they don't. You cannot force another person to accept something that you've learnt, because their soul might not be ready for it, and you could cause more issues bringing people through into the higher realms that aren't ready. There's certain protocols they're telling me that are in place for this up-leveling of humanity's evolution, certain protocols that we need to adhere to be able to make this allow more people to come through. And we're doing a good job, they're saying, so it's okay. What you're going through is perfectly aligned with if you know how to look at yourself and your own issues and all that sort of stuff. You constantly bring it back to yourself. You can't go wrong. So I'm going to also pull up, excuse my voice, some of the channel messages they gave to me just this week as well. And hey, Annie, good to see you. It was such a beautiful reading with Annie. Oh my God. We learned so much. Hey, Sky, good to see you. And Sky, I did same morning as Annie's reading, I did a whole big, I think I read for 8 people in New York over Zoom. It was so awesome. I just love it. Love this work, just to help guide and that sort of thing. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Let's get into this message. This is a really unique message. I actually got this message, it would have been about 3-4 years ago, probably 5 years ago. It was like, whoa, wham, in my face. And then I let it go, and it's kind of brought up a little bit more in this message now. So what they wrote through me, so I wrote it down on my phone, on my notes, and I'll just read it out to you and go through that. They said, everybody lives within their own frequency signature, like a bubble of reality of what they either accept or don't accept in. It's not about what we don't want to do, as you can easily accept something that you don't want. And you need to remember that it's not about, you say from one part of yourself, this is what I accept, but then your frequency alignment, which is what this is talking about, is allowing that acceptance, and either through fear of it, because it's like the elephant in the room. If you're in fear of it, you are in focus of it. And if you're in focus of it, then it becomes part of your reality. It is those things that we ignore, that we decide not to give any attention to, that just fall away from our lives. Easier said than done, I know, but this is the way it works in the truth of frequency alignments. If your bubble reality resonates clearly, in other words, you know who you are and what feels good for you, trusting your own will over the will of others, then you will move through life as if in a zone, and without thinking too much, you will turn the right corner that aligns with your soul. A bubble that is blocked will not see half the advantage points your soul has to evolve, So, and so you could become stuck, even returning from one life to another with the same blockage, until you do what many call the shadow work or deprogramming the program you invested in, until you look at this deeply, and you no longer blame those who approach you to show you the blockage that you have within yourself, but instead you will learn to take responsibility and see what you didn't want to see before. As behind most blockages are gifts when you were younger or in a past life, maybe you were condemned for using those gifts. So the soul learned to repress it, which establishes, and it goes into your logical thinking. That's it. I have to repress that. They're bringing me to when we pass over, all of our life story gets moved from our logical thinking mind into our soul's memory banks, and that is carried with us. And that's why we have a life review just as we die. So yeah, you could be condemned. Sorry, I'm just going to reread that little bit again. As behind most blockages are gifts that maybe when you were younger or in a past life, you were condemned for using. So the soul learnt to repress it, which establishes itself as a shadow over the light or blockage. And whenever another who has this actual gift that you are repressing comes near you, you will do to them what was done to yourself in order to not to face your own blockages. So that's a valuable lesson there. But they were always showing me life as a bubble, and then the bubble goes. Your reality goes as far as you can see, hear, feel. It goes as far as that. So if you're only working in the 5 senses of touch, smell, hearing, seeing, and what's the other one? Touch, hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting. Then your bubble of existence only goes to that. That's the limit. That's all you have. But if you go into your soul's feeling base, feeling as empathy is now being evolved, is now having the chance to evolve in humanity, feels beyond all of that. We can feel someone on the other side of the world. We can feel animals. We can feel plants. We can feel into things empathically. There's a vibrational meet. And if we've met that feeling within ourselves, then we can feel it in another. So the more that you meet within yourself, the more that you can understand of others as well. So you are learning to become the light. They're showing me you are tuning into light frequency, which holds wisdom, and that wisdom is felt. It is not a tangible outside source body thing that only the logical mind understands, because that is the natural tendency of the logical mind to protect the body. And so it only understands that. If it understood the feeling as well, it would probably be too much for it to handle as in the split of one's consciousness coming into this reality and having an experience, a physical experience. So yeah, that bubble can actually be, we can expand it to feeling as well, but we have to face our own emotions, which face our own feelings, and understand our feelings through those emotions and so forth. If we don't conquer or understand our emotions and where they're coming from as a feeling base, then how can we understand the feelings that's coming towards us as well? And this is where humanity is going, because when we become more feeling-based people, we become more empathic, we become more compassionate, and they're now bringing up the word human and saying with an E on the end, humane. We are connected to the E, earth, very interesting. So we are now in our natural self, because that is the natural humane, is, you know, part of human. But we know that we are humane beings, but we have been so in fear of our own feelings that we have repressed ourselves and separated ourselves so much that we only see others as outside of us, and we don't realize that they are part of us as well. So this is the whole new, well, flip side of evolving, our souls evolving into something more on earth. And with that, we will align with the simplicity of the mind, where we now tell it to shush. That one of the first things that happened to me when I was waking up, I went to a group that I'd never been to, a spiritual group before in my life, just found myself there. And they said to me, we're going to connect with this master that they follow, some sort of Indian guru person. I didn't know anything about this person, but they said, just close your eyes and meditate with us. I didn't even know what meditation was. And the first thing I saw was this man in the white clothing, this master coming up to me in my head very clearly and going, shh. And I didn't know what it meant at that moment, but I do now, obviously. It was asking my logical brain to just shh, because we have been so focused on it that it is gone too far, and trying to take over everything, trying to take over how to create our next step. And it only has all that in the past, so it keeps on chipping away at anything that we've done in the past, trying to search through that to be able to create something new, and it cannot. And I say this quite a bit. My team always brings this up. That is, a program needs to be put in its place of what it's really good at. That just like the masculine are really good at something, they're more physical than the feminine. There's a reason why they're more physical. They have bigger, stronger muscles and that, because they're here to protect the feminine in a physical way, in a physical world, so that we can have this life. And the feminine are more in tune with their feelings and their emotions. And that is exactly the same that happens within us. But if we're not in here perfectly aligned and in tune and seeing and respecting both sides of ourselves, and they call it a split for a reason, because that split needs to happen so that we could have this experience. That split is like source energy, just itself, God, creating this reality by splitting into a more logical sense, looking at the outside world, and an inner feeling world still connected to itself as it was. And then we have that within us. So when we unite that, we are uniting what we would call source energy, and the understanding of this physical world is just as important in the adventure that source energy wants to take. And we are that, and it is us. There is no separation. So the outside world is us as well as the inner world. It's just that it looks or defines as a outer world, so that we can have the actual adventure in a physical way. See, the beauty in that is when you come from source energy, it's like, wow, the beauty in that. But humanity was brand new in this understanding of itself. And so as a small child going on a journey, needed to learn all about the inner world and the outer world in a separate way. And we've just gone through the outer world in a separate way. We're coming back to unification, to be the creators on this world. What do we want to create next? This is what we're going to be asking when we evolve into these higher frequencies. What do you want to create next? You are leading yourself via your own willpower, your will, by knowing thyself, by being more authentic to self, by understanding lies and deception are not needed anymore. That is only caused by somebody that doesn't know thyself. And and all of that starts to wash away. And the only thing left after that is empathy, connection, a collective coming together through the heart base, and it's aligned with source energy, which now they're bringing me to solar flares coming from the sun, shining on or bringing more of that love frequency through for humanity to awake. They're actually saying it's actually shifting other planets as well, and other beings and on other planets as well, and not just like Mars. There's inner world and Mars, and so forth. Excuse me. And yeah, and because of that, they show me most of them, it's just that humanity has got a lot of beings watching us because we had the biggest, we had pulled back the furthest. So we had the biggest disimbalance in our reality that needed to full swings into balance. So it's like, wow, if they can do it, we can do it. It's kind of like that. And so many beings in our history are learning from us anyway as we evolve. But right here, right now, you going through what you're going through is specific to your evolution. And if you just accept that and allow it to be the process to show you the way, then you will see the way will light up clearer for you. In other words, in your day-to-day, are you always, as you wake up, how do you feel? And if you're not feeling so good, how can you change that? Asking yourself that. And if somebody is interrupting your life and making it difficult or whatever, how can you shift the reality for the benefit of both? I always say, for the benefit of all, how can I move my story past the story if it's something that I don't like in my reality? And that helps heaps. So yeah, that's another message there. I'm going to go on to the next message that I have here. It says, safety for the masculine logical side of ourself is completely physical in nature, as that part of ourself was naturally programmed to keep the physical construct of our body and reality safe. But the soul has another idea of safety. As safety to our soul is to know at any moment one can step into a frequency aligned with love, that one can change the story by changing the way you feel about yourself and your reality approaching you. Safety is knowing you are the creator. So two different types of safety there. We need the physical safety. We need the logical safety because it has to step in when something is, going towards us. Say you have a partner that's got a lot of muscles or whatever, and then there's somebody who's coming up to you and getting in your face or whatever as a female, as partners. Then of course that safety aspect of a male stepping in and going, oi, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with any of this. But when that's in alignment with the feminine, so when the masculine can feel into the feminine and the feminine saying, hey, giving off the feeling like, I've got this, I know how to shift the story without you coming in, or I need you, can you come in as a physical person and help me here? One or the other. Because how does the story evolve, and what's the best for even the person that's coming into attack? What's the best for the whole picture? Really interesting. This is how we what will happen when we're stepping into these newer, higher frequencies instead of just straight up the masculine going, oh, flexing his muscles, and the feminine's like, really, I had this. And then, or it could be the other way around. The feminine's going, oh my God, I really needed help, and where were you? You know, that sort of thing. But there's like a collaboration when we have that within ourselves of knowing when to use the logical mind, when to use the intuitive mind, how to navigate this world with both. I mean, they're both there. So there's reason for that. What's the best scenario in this moment, and just getting in touch with our hearts and what's feeling like the right thing to do, but always coming from a place of the initial place of, for the benefit of everyone, for the love of everyone. How can I move through this quickly? Yeah, so we shift into those higher frequencies, we'll start to do that. There's also this message, this very strange message that came through for those, this is specific, for those that have felt that they've come from benevolence, like a higher frequency, and they fell into a humanoid body. So there's a message for us right now that came through to help us understand a little bit more about this energy that we're going through at the moment. And the message is, in the separation from that higher benevolence, where we knew how to be in tune and in line with others, and we could understand telepathy was our main language, universal language and so forth. In the separation, we lost our connection to those we once sought counsel as souls came together for a common cause as the council, either in Pleiades and other higher frequencies or dimensions. They always bring through Pleiades for me because that's literally where I've come from. So, but it could be any higher dimension. So if you've Arcturian, Cyanian, whatever, and you are in a higher frequency, and then because there's all sorts of different frequencies there, but a soul that knows thyself in those frequencies, you fell, then you would have had a separation from the council that you had because you were pulled into the limited space of what humanity has. Now, when you were a baby, you were still probably connected. It's only when you started to grow up and the program was pulled over you, and you would have had resistance to that, which would have caused more problems as well with you. But because of the separation, we harbor an abandonment wound, which reflects our humanity, our human family of being misunderstood. So most of us are born into a family where we feel like the black sheep, we feel like we're misunderstood, but it's actually a reflection of not feeling in connection with our council, our soul family, and which we have been, we've not probably felt this before, is such a fall, is a huge fall. This wound needs to be healed before connection to our soul tribe is reestablished on earth while we're in this physical body. To do this, one needs to go back to the beginning, to before the birth of one's soul as a human, and remember to understand the agreement that you already decided upon before you went into the body. You knew this was going to happen. Your soul knew it was going to feel very alone in this world. It knew that. So in order to heal that, we need to take ourselves back. I did this work many years ago, but there's some of us that are going through this work now. So just be aware of it. Still there's a little bit there for me. I'm not saying I've completed it, but it's I have done this work, which I can at least help you navigate that much. And I asked to know what it was like before I was born, and just as I was moving into this body, my soul. And so what came forth for me because of that invitation of universe, can you show me? I ended up in a boat scuba diving, and there was a giant group of fish that everyone was going to go look for. And when I started scuba diving, I didn't see it. No one else would see it. So I swam out further and literally magnetized myself towards it. And I had flippers on. So I'm flipper flippering away. I don't know what to call that. And the momentum of the water is taking me, and I saw this huge group of fish in the distance. So I'm like, oh my God, how exciting. I can see it. I'm going towards that. But the flippers were really propelling me, and I become too close too fast. So that gave me that feeling of coming into this world too close, very fast. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's huge. Its lips were as bigger than my face. It was a massive fish. This thing was huge. So I'm like backpedaling really quickly. I want to get out. And I was born with the umbilical cord around my throat, because I literally was like, this energy is not I don't like this energy, this separation, this feeling of not being connected, and like everyone around me isn't connected, and that sort of feeling. But to go back to that now, I can see the mirror of me being born in that story, and me backpedaling, and how I actually felt in those moments of this is scarier than what I thought it would be. Coming into this world. So we have to address that. We have to face that in order for us to reconnect to our soul tribe. And the more we face and understand that, come into alignment with, the more we connect with our soul tribe, which is so beautiful as we go along, because then we get the profound messages and the understandings, the aha moments when they give that to you, working with them, which way to turn and that sort of thing. And you're all for the common cause of what your whole mission was about. That's their mission with your mission. You're kind of like, half of the soul tribe will go to Earth, be born as a human. Half of us will stay in the etheric. We'll keep an eye on you and make sure that you're okay. You are protected because we are here. And we will show you when you're going wrong. We'll show you when you're going right. That sort of thing. And but they don't know what it's like to be in this mind. They probably, unless they have had a life here before, they would not know. So it depends on if you're really high frequency. I don't know. So we have they really respect us. We're equal here because we decided to come into this body, into this form. So that's one of the messages that's coming through at the moment, because quite a few of us are wanting that connection to our soul tribe, and we're not quite getting there. And it's because we've still got this feeling of separation from when we were born. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's so cool, Annie. I'm glad you're really enjoying this. She said, such an awesome soul mission reading. That's so cool. Okay. The next thing that I have written down is, this is something that keeps coming up. They keep bringing this up. Whenever I'm watching a sci-fi movie, even Star Trek and all of that, I'm like, so frustrating, because I know beyond those stories. I feel beyond the stories that sci-fi is bringing in, and even Star Trek is like not so violent and all that sort of stuff, but it's still a warring world in that, and it's so frustrating for me because I can see beyond it. But anyway, this is the message that came through, probably from my higher self. The future created from disillusionment from an imbalanced society will always carry fragments of this imbalance. This is why it is so important to deprogram the program, because all stories evolving from a limited mindset, hell-bent on warring to protect, will bring in more problems to do so. Hence, the futuristic sci-fi movies we see now are all set on war and taking sides, because this is a reflection of where humanity is at in the now. But this is not the truth once balance is restored. And that's what I want to bring through. Before I pass over, one of my bucket lists is to create a movie that is a higher frequency movie, and allowing humans to really resonate with it. Avatar got there a little bit with it, but they still had to bring in the warring scenes and stuff. There's so much more beyond when they connect in with the animal and the plant life and stuff. There's so much more really cool adventures and fun to be had, exploration. When you feel those feelings, when you go through that in a life, like a real life, and you start to feel the aha moments, oh my God, it's so exhilarating. It's so much fun. Yeah, and there's just a lot more to discover. But very hard, I suppose, to create a movie like that when people can't feel into the feelings. Maybe in the future, I'm sensing, because of the telepathic nature of humanity, we will be able to tune in together. We won't need TVs and outside devices, or if we do create a movie or something like that, it would be a tuning in of the frequency as well, like a feeling-based movie. That would be really cool. But we have to clear ourselves enough to be able to feel into what the author was projecting or creating in the feeling base, so that you could go through the ride of that as well, like somebody else's story sharing with you, but feeling based as well. Really cool. Yeah, so there's so much more expansion when we go into these higher dimensions. We don't realize it because coming from a limited mindset of only a physical world, it's the only adventure we seem to be able to have is the fight, is the I feel relief because now the fight's disappeared or whatever. But there's more beyond that. There's just, the fight is a very limited kind of expression of oneself. It still can be used in the future as a resistance, and resistance will always be needed for growth and evolution. But to not take it to that extreme where that's the only way we could have an adventure. Like horror stories are the only thing that gives me that, what? Yeah, there's the opposite side of that is just absolute friggin' mega frequencies that you haven't even felt before. The euphoria that you could feel even from, say, a drug or something like that, goes beyond even that, they're saying to me. And you don't know what you're missing out on by causing, just falling into that one stagnated feeling of the only way I can get adventure is to have massive resistance of warring and fighting and then releasing that. The euphoria that comes with benevolence, they would never give that up for, it's just risen above the reality that humanity's consciousness is in. And so that's why they're very careful, and they protect, like the benevolence protect their frequency very much so, because otherwise, humans are crying out and they're saying, we need help. Why don't you just land already? Why don't you just come? Why don't you just face us? Why don't you just fix this problem? Why don't you just get rid of the people that are causing the problems and trying to control everyone in a mega way and that sort of stuff? Well, number one, we need to do the inner work to be able to match their vibration. And number two, they want to be able to protect their frequency alignment. So we have a home, a higher benevolent home to go to. Because if they fell into the well with us, we're all stuck there. We don't want to be stuck in that bottom of the well together, going over and over and over life cycles of war and condemnment and all that sort of stuff. This is about stepping out of that well and learning that life can be a way, 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 way bigger expansion than what we've been taught just through living this very limited reality. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that you're loving that, Jeannie. It's so funny during the week when these messages come through. I'm like, okay, that's another message and a profound message. I quickly write it down and I'm looking at all these different messages and going, how does this gel? How does this come together? And they always give me this like overall title. And I'm like, okay, that's how it gels, right? I'm with it now. I love it, but it's an exciting world that we're stepping into. Way more excitement. If you can imagine someone who's never ever experienced a utopic feeling, euphoric feeling, and then one day they feel it, they've never ever had it before, then obviously they're going to ask, how do I expand that? If I'm missing out on that, then what else am I missing out on? That sort of thing. So humanity has kept themselves through this fear-based controlling mechanism where others outside of them are more powerful than them. Nobody is more powerful than you. Any sort of power outside of you is only because you allowed it to be. Your will thought you were smaller than the person outside of you. It doesn't matter how big the other people are, how mega they are in a physical way. You can always go within yourself and shift the story by not giving that any attention and moving towards what your goals that you really want. That shifts the story. So that's the feminine power within us igniting, and the reality of it, realizing that we are way more in control and the creator from our standpoint of view than what we give ourselves. It's only those icky programs held in the logical mind of self-doubt and keeping us small and telling us that if someone told you you are small, you're a fake, you are pathetic, you are whatever, that you believe it because there's a part of you that still really believes that. And you need to look at that. You need to go back into yourself and say, why do I think that this person outside of me, who doesn't even know me from a bar or so, probably just met, maybe even on Facebook, not even knowing you on Facebook, you're not even a friend on Facebook, they still come up with a little line underneath one of your posts or something, then if it irks you, then there's still something within you that you need to clear, because you're giving your power to them just by that irk, that feeling. You've already felt that feeling as a vibrational link to them, saying that there's something that they're telling you the truth in the respect of not that you're fake or that you're pathetic or anything, but that you believe that you are. In some form, you believe you're still holding on to that. And so this is another thing that's shedding, they're telling me is shaking up at the moment within us. I know I'm dealing with this at the moment because the more that we expand into the reality, the more that we're probably going to end up hitting some of these people that are in hurt mode, and they lash out. And if you're not ready for that, then how can you expand to help navigate those that are lost? So we have to really know thyself as we do this work. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But kudos to everyone. Kudos to all that are doing this work. Bravery upon bravery for you doing this work, they're saying. So, yeah, they see the bravery within us. They're proud of us, and keep going, because it's only going to get better as we flip. There will be a moment of you will flip, and in that moment when you flip, I've experienced this, so I know it absolutely. In the moment where you flip into release and surrender and acceptance of self fully, completely, it's like freedom, because you don't have the same fear response and reaction as what you did in the past. And so it expands you to be able to help navigate others that fear, because I just saw that my warning is my connection's unstable. So hopefully I haven't stalled, and if I have, sorry about that, but I might have to say goodbye here. This house the connection's not that stable for some reason, so damn. I'm hoping that it is I'm trying to hold it there anyway. Quantum entanglement with the higher self. Yes. Glad you're loving these messages, guys. Anyways, I'll love and leave you here because I do feel like it might become unstable. So until next time, I will be live again on Thursday. Gosh, I'm all over the show with my days. They're just merging at the moment. On Thursday, and I will do free chat bar readings at the end of the general message, whether that is with tarot or channeling, I don't know yet. We'll see what happens, but I will always pull a couple of cards at the end for those in the chat bar because I love doing that and I love connecting with you guys like that. I love to be able to give free readings too. But if you want a one-on-one full reading with me, the link is down below. I'm keeping my price lower at the moment, and I don't know, it could be forever, it could be for just the end of the year. I'm not sure yet. I'm just going to play it by ear. So if you want to be a part of my other channel, go to Codes to a New Reality, have a look at those messages, hidden codes, and or my school, AMAKEL. Anyway, I'll just love you and leave you here. Bye, guys.